Have you ever heard of the Doge Father or the Dogecoin Millionaire? Well, the Dogecoin Millionaire basically lost it all and is no longer a Dogecoin millionaire, but let's get into the story. So Doge is my savings account. This 33-year-old is no longer a Dogecoin millionaire, but he's still buying the dips. So Glauber Contesoto, 33, invested over $250,000 in Dogecoin in February. So the top cryptocurrencies by market value, including Bitcoin and Ether, are plunging on Tuesday amid a sell-off. I believe it went underneath 30,000. And among those is the meme-inspired cryptocurrency Dogecoin, which is down about 77% since its all-time high of nearly 74 cents in May. Now, to put this into context, about this time, he had a portfolio value of almost $3 million, okay? So if he were to have sold it when it hit here, right, which he could have easily just swiped up on his Robinhood account and sold everything, he would, after taxes, because it'd be like before the year's up, so he would have to pay quite a lot in taxes, he would still clear over like $1.5 million, right? Like after taxes, after expenses, all the things that he would end up having to pay, he would still clear over $1 million in the bank to him, 100% his, right? But let's keep going. So the investor Glauber Contesoto, whose Dogecoin holdings previously surpassed a value of $1 million, isn't worried. You just gotta zoom out and chill, Contesoto, 33, told CNBC, make it. Though he isn't a financial expert, he's optimistic that Dogecoin has already hit bottom. So the coin hit 16 cents Tuesday morning before inching up to 17 cents. So between his savings and borrowed funds, Contesoto said he invested over $250,000 in Dogecoin on February 5th when it was priced at about 4.5 cents. And then about 2 months later, on April 15th, he said he became a Dogecoin millionaire on paper. Since then, Contesoto has refused to sell, despite Dogecoin's ups and downs, and even in May, when the value of his holdings surpassed $2 million, he still didn't budge. Now, with Dogecoin trading around 17 cents, he continues to buy the dip. I can't pass up a good bargain, Contesoto said. Last week, he bought it over $5,300 worth of Dogecoin when it was around 17 cents, he said. So yeah, looks like he actually did buy it. So he bought about 30,000 Doge from that. Which, this is the thing that is troubling, right? Like, this type of investing is something that you should never do. But if you were to have done something like this, take the winnings, take the money, right? Because this is the thing that you really got to think about, right? If he sold it at those 74 cents, right, and cleared over $1 million, right, that means that when it crashed back down to about the 17 cents, he could put in the $1 million if he really wanted to. And if it goes all the way back up, guess what? He'll basically just be repeating the process over and over and over again. But he missed his chance to literally have $1 million. So Doge is my savings account, he said. And as of around 2:50 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, his Dogecoin holdings were worth $700,217.09. But then also you got to really factor in, okay, $250,000 was his original thing, but I remember reading a story where he actually got margin called and he was forced to sell some of his holdings to cover that. So in a sense, maybe subtract 100,000 from this. So maybe his account value is really worth like 600,000 if you were to like factor in like what his principal is. So $600,000 would be profit, but you got to factor in taxes if you were to sell that before the year amount. So, it's kind of a crappy situation when you really think about it, right? Like he's still technically up, right? But he's not a millionaire, right? Like he can't buy like a house to live in and then another house to rent out for like the income. He can't really do much with this if he were to sell it. So it's like he's like in a situation where like it's just kind of crappy, to be honest. But man, imagine if you had like almost $3 million and then you see your account go all the way down to 700,000. Like that's depressing. So, however, financial experts are highly skeptical of Dogecoin as well as other cryptocurrencies. Their extreme volatility is one reason experts say that crypto is a risky, speculative investment. And honestly, I would have to agree, right? But here's the thing. If you put in money into like this type of thing, and it's money that you are perfectly fine with like burning, like not caring at all, go ahead and do that, right? If you have a strong foundation, if you're out of debt, if you have an emergency fund, if you have a good job with like a consistent income, go ahead and make some like risky bet like this just for the fun of it, right? With funds that you do not care about. You don't do basically what he did and basically bet everything you have on it and then some because he also used debt. So it's just very scary. And then some warn investors to be especially cautious when investing in Dogecoin in particular, since it lacks the scarcity and the technological development that Bitcoin has. For example, investors could get burned, so they should invest only what they can afford to lose. And I agree with this. Only invest things that you're okay with losing, right? And also, out of all the cryptocurrencies in the world out there, it makes more sense to be looking at like Bitcoin, Ethereum, ADA, not necessarily Dogecoin. Dogecoin maybe for the fun of it, but still, like it doesn't really serve much of a purpose. So you risk losing nearly all the money you put in. James Ledbetter, editor of FinTech newsletter, Fin and CNBC contributor, previously told on CNBC Make It, it has no intrinsic value, and it could just as easily come crashing down in price as continue to go up. And I kind of view the same thing as like stocks, like individual stocks and all that kind of stuff. There's not really anything that's like driving up the price except for people believing that it's worth more. So contestant himself also tells his followers not to invest more than they could afford to lose, which the thing is, he can't really afford to lose the amount of money that he put in. That's the thing that bothers me about it. Nonetheless, Contessa's plan remains the same. Once I hit $10 million, then I'll take out 10%. I had a game plan in mind going into this purchase, and I wouldn't feel right always telling people to buy and hold. And as soon as I hit $3 million, like I said, cash out and leaving everyone else hanging, he said. Until I reach my goal, I'll continue to buy, hold, and diamond hand it. Which, here's the thing, is to me, it's not really a betrayal, right? Like you'd think that people who end up following you, because I think he's built like a brand around this nowadays. You would think that people would want you to take the money so that you could literally say, yeah, I'm a millionaire and I could do whatever the hell I want to do now. But now he has to still work. He has to go do a bunch of stuff for money, right? Where he wouldn't have to do that, right? Like for example, if he sold at the $3 million mark and he pocketed over $1 million, right, after taxes and everything, right, that would allow him to really invest into things that he wants to do for the rest of his life, right, where he doesn't have to focus on like speculative trading. He doesn't have to necessarily deal with anything that he doesn't necessarily love. He doesn't feel like he has to be like, almost like a martyr for people, right? Or like an icon. He could just do what he wants to do when he wants to do it, whenever he wants to do it, because he's a freaking millionaire. But no, now he is forced to do things that he's probably not going to want to do. So, yeah, that's pretty much it for this basically story. But I mean, feel free to contact us at 40inbox.com and like letting us know what you think about this situation. Do you think Dogecoin is going to go to the moon? Do you think what he did was smart? But the thing is, this style of investing is not smart. It paid off for him, and it still technically paid off for him. He still made a profit if he were to sell right now. But he screwed up, right? He literally lost his chance to become a millionaire, right? And there's no guarantee that Doge is going to go back up, right? It might go to $1. You never know, right? But the likelihood of that happening, not really. And the thing is, like, I don't want to like hate on him too much just because, you know, the past is the past, right? And no one should really stay in the past. But the thing is, right? Imagine how life-changing, like, $1.5 million would be in your life, right? Like, just imagine that, right? Like, regardless of where you are, like, in your financial situation, if you were to immediately get $1.5 million that is clear, no strings attached, goes straight into your bank account, that is life-changing money. That is life-altering money for, like, generations, because it just buys you so much time. And this is the thing that people don't understand, is that sometimes you really need to look at money in the terms of what does it buy you in terms of time, because that is the one thing that you will never, ever get more of. And so what we mean by this, right? I believe in a story, he was making, like, his job, he was getting paid about, I think, like 50 to 60,000. We're just going to say like 50,000, right? So if he had sold at the $3 million mark-ish, right? Cleared over $1.5 million basically after taxes. That meant that he basically would have bought himself like 30 years, I believe, making $50,000 per year, right? That means for 30 years, he would literally not have to do anything at all, not invest, not work, literally not do anything at all for 30 years, right? Like, that's how much time that would have bought him based off his income level, right? And so imagine if you had a free 30 years to do whatever the hell you wanted to do, right? You could go change your career. You could create multiple businesses. You could create a business. You could go back to school. You could do whatever the hell you want. You could move to a different country. You could start a new life. Like you could literally start a family, even if you already had a family. Like this is crazy stuff with this amount of time. So just imagine if you had a free 30 years of not doing anything at all. Like, you were not tied to anything, you were not chained to anything, and you had a free 30 years to literally do whatever you wanted to do. And so, don't get into a situation where you end up having some sort of windfall and you don't take advantage of it. So, if you need help mastering your money, so that if you were to ever get into this situation where you basically got a potential windfall of millions of dollars, right? Learn how to master your money down below in the description of this episode. Learn the secret to mastering your money, right? And get yourself in a financial foundation so that you can do whatever the hell you want to do, especially if you were to get some sort of windfall like this, because you've structured yourself in a way that you don't gotta worry about any of this nonsense. Because, I mean, my goodness. Imagine just like retiring a millionaire after like 6 months. Like, that is just crazy.